My name is Evan Ross, and until a few weeks ago, my life was as ordinary as it gets. Ordinary in that boring, soul-crushing way that makes you wonder if you're really living or just marking time. By day, I was an overworked junior analyst at a corporate firm in downtown Chicago. By night, I was just another 20-something guy scrolling through endless streams of content, trying to convince myself that Netflix binges and takeout were enough to make me happy. But there was more to me than the spreadsheets and reports and coffee runs for higher-ups who barely remembered my name. I carried a secret, a heavy one that both terrified and thrilled me. I wasn't supposed to be the kind of person who thought about slipping into pantyhose after a long day, or who stared a little too long at the mannequins in the department store windows, imagining how those dresses might feel brushing against my skin. Yet here I was, hiding a second self, one that I only ever let breathe in rare, stolen moments when the world wasn't watching. Most of the time, though, I shoved that part of me deep down. Emma, my girlfriend, didn't know. Not really. Emma and I had been together for 3 years. She was beautiful in a sharp, self-possessed kind of way, long brown hair, clever green eyes, and a smile that could light up a whole room if she wanted it to. She was finishing her degree in psychology while working part-time at a bookstore, and she had this way of analyzing everything I said, like she was trying to peel back layers I wasn't ready to show her. I loved her for it, but it also scared me. She often told me she wished I'd open up more, that I held too much inside, and one day it would come back to bite me. I always laughed it off, but deep down, I knew she was right. If Emma ever discovered what I really hid, the tights shoved to the back of my dresser, the eyeliner pencil I claimed was for a costume party, the quiet longing I couldn't explain, would she even recognize me as the man she thought she loved? The irony, of course, was that my boss knew me better than Emma did. Not the real me, of course, at least not yet. But she understood how to exploit the version of me I showed at work, hardworking, desperate to please, terrified of disappointing anyone. Her name was Miranda Holt, and she was the kind of boss you didn't say no to. Towering heels, razor-sharp suits, and a voice that could cut you down without ever rising above a conversational tone. She had built the company from the ground up, and everyone whispered about her behind closed doors. But in her presence, we all stood straighter, talked faster, and worked harder. That night, the night everything started, I had been planning to leave the office early. Emma had texted me about making dinner together, something we hadn't done in weeks, and I was already picturing us in the kitchen, laughing as we messed up a recipe we'd found online. But then Miranda appeared at my desk. "Ross," she said, her tone clipped, her eyes sharp as ever. "I need you to stay late tonight. There's a report that has to be ready by tomorrow morning. Can you handle it?" It wasn't really a question. "Yes, ma'am," I said automatically, even though my chest tightened. Miranda gave a small nod, already walking away. "Good. Don't leave until it's done." That was Miranda for you. No thank yous, no small talk. Just orders. I texted Emma to cancel. She didn't reply right away, which only made me feel worse. I could practically hear her sigh of disappointment in my head, the way she'd say, "Evan, you have to stop letting people push you around." But I stayed anyway, because that's what I did. The office emptied out slowly, the hum of printers and keyboards fading into silence until it was just me under the harsh glow of fluorescent lights. The building felt different when it was empty, almost eerie, the shadows stretching longer, the air conditioning clicking in irregular bursts. As I worked, my mind wandered. Maybe it was exhaustion. Maybe it was the loneliness. Maybe it was just me being me. But as I sat there, I thought about that secret side of myself. The one that Emma didn't know about. The one that Miranda, unknowingly, seemed to push closer to the surface every time she barked an order I couldn't refuse. I caught myself glancing at my reflection in the darkened window, imagining softer features, a different silhouette. The thought sent a shiver through me, equal parts fear and desire. I didn't know it then, but that night wasn't just about a late shift. It was the beginning of something I could never have predicted. When I finally left the office, long past midnight, the city streets were slick with rain, neon lights reflecting on the pavement. I should have been thinking about the report, about Emma, about sleep. But all I could think about was how heavy that secret inside me had become, and how one wrong moment might let it slip into the open. And, as fate would have it, that wrong moment was closer than I realized. The next morning, my eyes burned with exhaustion. Emma hadn't spoken to me since my late-night text. When I got home, she had already gone to bed, leaving me a plate of reheated pasta on the counter with a sticky note. "We need to talk." Those 4 words haunted me as I showered, dressed, and dragged myself back into the office. Miranda passed by my desk without a word, but her eyes flicked toward me, sharp and measuring, as if she were making mental notes. Did she notice the dark circles under my eyes? Did she care? Probably not. But there was something else. Something in the way she looked at me, like she was watching for cracks in the mask I wore. I buried myself in work, answering emails, filing reports, trying to ignore the storm brewing in my personal life. Emma deserved better, but how could I give her honesty when honesty meant admitting the secret I couldn't even say out loud to myself? That night, the apartment felt colder than usual. Emma sat curled up on the couch, a blanket wrapped around her, her laptop glowing in front of her. She didn't look up when I walked in. "Hey," I said softly. "Hey." Her voice was clipped. I set my bag down and tried to bridge the silence. "Sorry about last night, Miranda." "Always Miranda," Emma interrupted. She shut her laptop and looked at me, her eyes searching mine. "Do you even realize how much of yourself you've given up for that job? For her?" I opened my mouth, then closed it, because she was right. And yet, I couldn't stop. Not when Miranda demanded, not when saying no meant risking everything I'd worked for. Emma sighed. "I just don't get it. You're like 2 different people sometimes. The guy I met 3 years ago, and the one standing here now." Her words struck deeper than she knew.
Because there was another side to me.
A side she hadn't seen. A side I was terrified she might see one day. That night, while Emma slept beside me, I lay awake staring at the ceiling. My thoughts wouldn't quiet. My body ached with restless energy, with the need to escape into the self I kept hidden. So I slipped out of bed, careful not to wake her, and padded into the living room. From the bottom drawer of my dresser, hidden beneath old sweaters, I pulled out the shoebox. Inside lay the pieces of my secret: sheer pantyhose folded neatly, a tube of lip gloss, a dress I'd ordered online under a fake name. I ran my fingers over the fabric, my pulse racing. It wasn't just clothing. It was a doorway into the part of me that could breathe, if only for an hour, before I locked it all away again. I slipped the pantyhose on first. The whisper of nylon against my skin made me shiver. My legs looked different, softer, almost like they belonged to someone else. Someone freer. The dress followed, sliding over me like water. My reflection in the dark window grew clearer with every layer, every adjustment. Lip gloss added a shine I couldn't ignore. My hair, brushed and parted differently, almost hinted at the shape of someone new. And in that moment, I wasn't Evan Ross' corporate drone. I was her. But the thrill came with fear. Fear that Emma would wake up and find me like this. Fear that the life I had built would collapse with a single gasp of shock. I turned, startled, when my phone buzzed. A message from Miranda lit up the screen. "Don't forget the presentation tomorrow. Be sharp, Ross." Even in my hidden world, she intruded. And for the first time, I wondered if she'd notice if I ever slipped, if she'd see the side of me that I was desperate to hide. Because Miranda had a way of seeing things others didn't. And the more I thought about it, the more I feared she already knew. The following day blurred together in a haze of exhaustion and nerves. I kept glancing at Miranda's office door, half convinced she could somehow see through me, that she knew what I had done the night before. Her presence was like a weight pressing down on me. Every time she walked by, her heels clicking on the polished floor, my stomach tightened. She carried herself with such authority, such precision, that even the air around her seemed sharper. And yet, a part of me envied it. Envied her. By the time evening fell, I was back in the apartment alone. Emma had gone out with friends, leaving me a short message. "Don't wait up." I stared at the words longer than I should have. She was pulling away, and it was my fault. But instead of fixing it, instead of reaching out to her, I found myself dragging the shoebox out again. This time, I didn't hesitate. The pantyhose slid over my legs, smoother now that I knew the rhythm of it. The dress hugged me in all the right ways, shaping me into someone I barely recognized but desperately wanted to be. My reflection glowed with every layer of transformation. Lip gloss.
Blush.
A wig I had ordered impulsively weeks ago but never dared to try until now. When I stepped back, the person staring at me in the mirror wasn't Evan Ross. Not completely. She was someone new. Someone beautiful. And the strangest part? She felt realer than I did. I twirled once, laughing softly at the swish of the dress. My heart pounded, half from exhilaration, half from terror. What if Emma came home early? What if a neighbor knocked on the door? What if? The buzz of my phone froze me in place. Another message. This time from Miranda. I need you back at the office. Tonight. Bring the latest files. I nearly dropped the phone. It was already 10:30. Why was she summoning me now? Panic surged. My makeup, my clothes, they clung to me like evidence. There was no time to change, no time to erase the girl I had just become. And then the impossible thought. What if I didn't change? What if I went like this? The idea was insane, reckless. But it sparked something inside me, a dangerous spark that whispered, "She already owns you, doesn't she?" With trembling hands, I packed the files into my bag. Every second that passed felt like the universe daring me to step outside as her, not him. And before I could stop myself, I slipped on a coat, hid my face under the wig's hair, and left the apartment. The city streets at night were quieter, but every sound seemed amplified. The click of my borrowed heels on the pavement, the rush of my breath, the flutter in my stomach as strangers' eyes slid over me without a second thought. They didn't see Evan Ross. They saw her. For the first time, I wasn't hiding. I was passing. The thrill was electric. But underneath it, dread gnawed at me. Because if Miranda saw me like this, there would be no going back. I stood outside the office building, heart-hammering, coat pulled tight. The security guard nodded at me, holding the door without a second glance. It was working. But as I rode the elevator up to Miranda's floor, reality pressed down harder with every ding. Would she recognize me? Would she laugh? Would she destroy me? The elevator doors opened. And there she was. Miranda, standing in the hallway, waiting, her arms folded, eyes sharp as blades. Her lips curved into the faintest smile. Not surprise. Not confusion. But something worse. Recognition. "I was wondering when you'd finally show her to me," she said softly. My blood ran cold. Her words hit me like a thunderclap. I froze, clutching the strap of my bag as if it could anchor me to the world I thought I still belonged in. My throat went dry, but Miranda didn't wait for me to answer. She stepped closer, heels echoing on the marble, her presence wrapping around me like a vice. "I told you once," she murmured, eyes flicking deliberately down to my legs, the curve of my dress, that details matter. Every stitch, every seam, every secret. And here you are, Evan, or should I say, Evelyn. The name rolled off her tongue like it had been waiting for this moment all along. I stammered, This isn't. But she cut me off with a sharp smile. "Save your excuses. You wouldn't be standing here in full stockings, wig, and lip gloss if this wasn't exactly what you wanted. Don't insult me or yourself." Heat flooded my cheeks. I wanted to deny it, to tear the wig off, to prove I wasn't the man she thought she'd cornered. But the weight of the dress against my skin, the tremble of my heels beneath me, betrayed me. She knew. Miranda extended a manicured hand, tilting my chin upward with a touch that was almost tender, but firm enough to remind me she was in control. "Look at you," she whispered, as if she were marveling at her own creation. So much prettier than the nervous little assistant who keeps hiding behind spreadsheets. My heart thundered. The humiliation twisted into something else, something darker, sharper. A shiver ran through me, not entirely from fear. Then, with a flick of her wrist, Miranda turned and walked toward her office. "Well, Are you going to bring me those files? Or are you just going to stand there quivering in your heels? I followed, each step a war. Inside her office, the lighting was softer than the harsh fluorescence outside. The air smelled faintly of expensive perfume. She closed the door behind me, and suddenly the walls felt too close. Set them down, she ordered, motioning to her desk. I did as I was told, my hands trembling. Silence stretched. She leaned against the desk, crossing her legs slowly, deliberately. Her gaze never left me. You know, Evan, I've seen traces for weeks. The way your eyes linger on fabric. The way you flinch at certain comments in meetings. And then, last night. Her smile deepened. You think I don't notice who stays late after everyone leaves? This building has cameras. Did you forget? My stomach dropped.
Cameras.
Of course. The image of myself, half transformed in the empty office, flashed in my mind. And Miranda watching it later, calm, calculating. You can relax, she said, reading the panic on my face. I haven't shown anyone. Not yet.
Not yet.
The threat dangled in the air, heavy and inescapable. Why are you doing this? My voice cracked, raw and desperate. Her eyes gleamed. Because you fascinate me. Most men would rather die than step into their mother's shoes, literally. But you? She tilted her head. You've already taken the first steps. I want to see how far you'll go. I shook my head. I can't, Emma. Emma doesn't know. Miranda cut in sharply. And she doesn't have to. Unless. She let the word hang, a knife sharpened by silence. I couldn't breathe. She rose, circling me slowly, the way a predator sizes up prey. Her hand brushed against the hem of my dress, light as silk, sending a shock through me. Let's make this simple, she whispered near my ear. You keep working late.
For me.
Like this. And in return, your little secret stays between us. The deal was a trap, obvious and suffocating. But what choice did I have? If Emma found out, if anyone found out. I nodded, too quickly. Good girl. The words coiled around me, equal parts terrifying and intoxicating. Miranda stepped back, satisfied. Now, she said, her tone brisk again, show me how well you can walk in those heels. From my desk to the door. Head high, shoulders back. The command rooted me in place.
What?
You heard me. Walk. Or should I start drafting an email to Emma? My legs moved before my mind could catch up. Each step across the plush carpet felt like crossing a line I could never uncross. Behind me, Miranda clapped softly. Better. Much better. We're going to make something exquisite out of you, Evan. Or Evelyn. Her voice was honey and steel. And for the first time, I realized she wasn't just blackmailing me. She was reshaping me. I stumbled back to my desk that night in a haze. Miranda's words echoed in my head. Good girl. They clung to me, burning hotter than any insult, more dangerous than any praise. When I finally slipped out of the building, changing clumsily in the restroom, my reflection wouldn't let me go. For a terrifying moment I lingered, lipstick smudged, hair slightly crooked, my eyes wide, almost hungry. What was happening to me? The next evening, I told Emma I'd be home late again. She kissed my cheek absent-mindedly, already buried in her laptop. The guilt nearly crushed me, but Miranda's threat chained me tighter than love ever could. By the time I arrived at the office, the transformation had become ritual. Stockings sliding over shaved legs, heels strapped tight, the wig adjusted carefully until I barely recognized the man underneath. When I entered her office, Miranda looked up with a slow, satisfied smile.
There you are, she said.
On time. Dressed properly. Good. I swallowed hard, my pulse quickening at her approval, even though I despised myself for it. Days bled into weeks. Every night, she demanded more. Walking lessons, posture drills, hours spent typing reports with manicured nails tapping at the keys. Sometimes she would circle me, correcting my stance with the brush of her hand against my back, my waist, my hips. You're learning, she'd purr. Almost natural now. I wanted to scream, to run, to confess everything to Emma. But every time I thought I might, Miranda would flash that knife-edge smile and murmur, "Imagine Emma's face when she finds out." And I would collapse into silence again. Then came the breaking point. One night, after another grueling session, Miranda leaned back in her chair and crossed her arms. "You've been hiding long enough. I think it's time we gave Emma a little preview." My stomach dropped. "No, please." "Oh, don't worry," Miranda said lightly. "Nothing drastic. Just a photo. A harmless little message." Imagine her surprise, finding out her fiancé has been keeping such an adorable secret. I shook my head violently. "You promised. You said this would stay between us." Her smile sharpened. "And it will if you cooperate. But if you refuse—" She lifted her phone, camera already open. Something inside me snapped. I grabbed her wrist before I could think, shoving the phone away. "Enough!" I shouted, breath ragged. "You don't own me." The silence that followed was suffocating. Miranda stared at me, her eyes blazing. Then slowly she smiled. Not amused, not proud. Something darker. "You really don't understand," she whispered. "This isn't about ownership, Evan. This is about truth. You've been lying to yourself, to Emma, to everyone. I'm just pulling off the mask." Her words cut deeper than any threat. But fate didn't give me time to respond. Because the door burst open. "Evan." Emma stood there, her eyes wide, her face pale. In her hand, a takeout bag. She must have come to surprise me, only to find me standing in Miranda's office, wig in place, dress clinging to me, lipstick fresh. I froze. Her gaze darted from me to Miranda, then back again. Confusion gave way to horror. What is this?" I tried to speak. Nothing came out. Miranda rose gracefully, smoothing her skirt. "Emma," she said warmly, as if greeting an old friend. "You really should ask your fiancé. He has so much to tell you." Emma's eyes filled with tears. "Evan?" I stumbled forward, hands outstretched. "Emma, please, it's not what it looks like." Her voice cracked like a whip. "Then what is it?" "Because it looks like you've been lying to me, dressing up behind my back, sneaking around with her." The betrayal in her tone gutted me. Miranda, of course, said nothing. She didn't need to. Emma dropped the bag on the floor with a thud and bolted before I could stop her. I stood frozen, breathless, shattered. Behind me, Miranda's voice was a silken whisper. "Well, looks like the truth came out after all." That night, everything unraveled. I raced home, desperate to explain, but Emma had locked the bedroom door. She wouldn't answer me, wouldn't even look at me. When I pressed my forehead against the wood, whispering her name, all I heard was her muffled sobbing. And the worst part? I couldn't even decide who I was begging forgiveness for: Evan, the man who betrayed her trust, or Evelyn, the girl Miranda had forced into existence. The apartment was silent except for the soft hum of the refrigerator and the ticking clock on the wall. I sat on the couch, still half in Evelyn's clothes, stockings torn from running, wig shoved hastily into a bag, lipstick smeared from my panicked attempts to scrub it off. My phone buzzed on the coffee table. Emma's name flashed on the screen. I stared at it, paralyzed. My thumb hovered. Answering meant facing the truth. Not answering meant losing her forever. Finally, I picked up. Her voice was hoarse, shaking. "Evan, I just need to know. Was any of this real? Us? Or was it all a lie?" My throat tightened. "Emma, please. I never meant to hurt you. I didn't want this." Miranda, she forced me. But even as I said it, the words sounded hollow. Because deep down, part of me had wanted it. The thrill. The escape. The freedom of becoming someone else. Emma's silence on the other end cut deeper than her words. "I don't even know who you are anymore," she whispered. Then the line went dead. I collapsed forward, head in my hands, trembling. A knock at the door jolted me upright. For one wild second, I thought it might be Emma, come back to give me another chance. But when I opened the door, it was Miranda. She stood there in her immaculate suit, smiling like a cat who had cornered its prey. "Rough night?" she asked sweetly. I tried to slam the door, but she slipped inside effortlessly, her heels clicking on the hardwood floor. "You see," she purred. "You can't hide it anymore. She knows. And now you're free." "Free?" I spat. "I just lost the woman I love. I lost everything." "No," Miranda corrected softly, stepping closer. "You found yourself. And Emma? Maybe she'll leave, maybe she won't. But me." She reached into her bag and pulled out a sleek folder. "I have plans for you, Evelyn." The sound of that name sent shivers down my spine. "What are you talking about?" I whispered. She handed me the folder. Inside were papers, documents I couldn't fully understand in my haze. Contracts, application forms, identity papers. All of them bore the same name, Evelyn Hart. My knees went weak. "No, this isn't real. You can't do this." Miranda leaned in so close I could feel her breath against my ear. "It's already real. And tomorrow morning, when you walk into my office, it won't be as Evan anymore." I staggered back, my mind spinning, heart slamming against my ribs. From the bedroom, I heard the faintest sound, Emma's voice. She had opened the door, just enough to listen. Her eyes met mine, wide and full of both fear and betrayal. She had heard everything. And in that moment, I realized I wasn't choosing between Miranda and Emma anymore. I was choosing between Evan and Evelyn. And the choice might have already been made for me.